So Q1, the first quarter of 2025, was the worst first quarter in history. And to be honest, I don't know if you feel how I feel, but it was pretty rough. However, we've had a signal in the market, a bounce in the market today over the last 24 hours, which, to be honest, if you ever use a sauna, you push yourself in there for 20 minutes, you can barely breathe, you're sweating, you lose your vision. Maybe the vision's because of the sweat, not because of the push too much. We're not pushing that hard. But then you open the door after 20 minutes and you breathe in that first breath of oxygen and you're like, oh my God, that's what oxygen feels like. That is what the last 24 hours has felt like in crypto. And a lot of people are saying that that was the final round in the sauna. Get ready to put your oxygen masks on and watch our portfolios absolutely skyrocket. That's what we're going to be talking about in this video. Cozy the Caller says, to everyone who survived one of the worst Q1s in crypto history, markets are already recovering and gearing up for one of the best Q2s in crypto history. You better be ready. Have a look at this. This is Ethereum, which, to be honest, is one of the worst performing coins, but it does sort of symbolize what the altcoins were doing for Q1. And people were so excited because it is the fourth year of the cycle where we normally print crazy gains in Q1. 2017 was the fourth year, 2021 was the fourth year, and then 2025, everyone was projecting these green crazy numbers, but we got a 32% pullback in Feb on Ethereum, and it really took a lot of people by surprise. However, the bounce recently, and I've done a video on this week, a lot of people are talking about this because this is pretty much the best way to predict the price of Bitcoin and even the price of the stock market and economies. It's the M2 money supply, which is basically how much liquid money is being printed globally. And you can see the M2 money supply is up. This is on a little bit of an offset, a 10-week offset, a 70-day offset. And you can see historically, there's something like a 94% correlation over a certain period of time. I think like an 85% correlation over the lifetime of Bitcoin and the M2 money supply. But you can see it was supposed to bounce, as Peter from House of Crypto said, on the 24th of March, and it bounced on the 24th of March following this correlation. Now, what also follows the correlation from the M2 money supply is stocks, which the US stocks have pumped hard, says Ash Crypto. Bitcoin and crypto is next, because if you guys remember, and actually it's funny, look how much pumping hard is in the stock market, 1.76%. That's a terrible day in the crypto world. And that's why I personally don't love stocks as much as I love crypto. But you guys will remember this from the bull market days, because this was when it was fun. These are the bigger market caps, something like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and they're placed on the handle of the crypto whip because they will say when you move a whip, move less volatilely. And what happens is when you move the whip up, just a small movement will magnify as it goes down the whip until the energy is so great at the end of the whip that it will crack and break the sound barrier. And that's why the smaller the market cap, the more volatile the token, which, as I said, in a bull market is fantastic because Bitcoin will go up 2x and then you'll get something like this down here, Exceed Me, which has probably $1 million market cap, might even go up 100x and 100x your money. So that's where you want to play. However, in the worst first quarter in crypto history, we wish you would have played up near this handle because that's when you would have seen less of a downturn. However, if this bounce is the bounce we've been waiting for and we're about to go parabolic, you may want to then extend yourself slowly down the risk curve wherever your risk tolerance is at. But why I'm showing you this whip right now is because it's slightly incomplete, because what's in front of Bitcoin is the S&P 500, the US economy. And then what's in front of the US economy is the M2 money supply. And they are really the controllers of the whip because, as you saw, Bitcoin is basically just following the pattern of the M2 money supply. And it has historically tracked it very accurately with a really high correlation. Now, you can see what's moved more than the stock market price is Bitcoin. You can see that's gone from $81,000 up to $88,000. And today it is up 1.5%, so matching the stock market price. But then the altcoins, which are further down the handle, this is the number one altcoin. Well, I guess Bitcoin's the number one coin, but coins by market cap, the top 100, you can see they're moving 23, 27, 16, 7, 11, 9, 13%. It's been a long time since we've had this breath of fresh air. And then as you extend further down the crypto whip, you can see things like the SPX 6900, which is one of the more blue chip meme coins, at least the new ones of this cycle, is up 12% on the day. And if you zoom out, you can see it was down at 36 cents. If you zoom out even further, you can see it bottomed down here at 24 cents. It's then bounced to 64 cents, which means you've had more than a 2x return if you had your price triggers set somewhere down on that bottom. And I mean, we're a long way from the highs, but that is a very nice bounce. And what I'm always thinking too is like a lot of people like to celebrate, oh, I invested at SPX 6900 here right before the rally up, and it was up only, and all the sentiment, all the vibes, and everyone was cheering because everyone's making money. You might make $1 million there, but it's also, if you invested $1 million down here at a 270 mil market cap, and now you're at a 540 mil market cap, you've also made $1 million. But even though sentiment is way lower and not everyone's cheering your name, $1 million is $1 million. So if you can time those bottoms, and a lot of people have done really well to time those bottoms, you can get very wealthy even though market sentiment is still low. I'm going to show you what that is in a second. And then even further down the crypto whip, and honestly, if I talked about these sort of tokens 2 weeks ago, one, they weren't around to exist because everything was lifeless, everything was dead, everyone was so dejected and down, which I still think a lot of people are there. Probably 70% of people are still in that bucket, but the 30% of people have turned a new leaf. And this is a meme coin based on routine. I'm sure you saw this trend on social media. This meme coin went from pump fun all the way up to a $20 million market cap, which we haven't seen that for a while in just 2 days. And you had some really big owners. This guy here turned $700 into $110,000 on the routine token, which again, I haven't seen that for about a month. So it's refreshing to see this life in the market and people actually out there making money. I'm going to talk about what tokens are pumping the hardest. And I'm also going to talk about the thesis from Elio Trades, who is one of the best traders in this market, who has made tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars in crypto. And I'm going to give you his bull case and bear case scenario. I personally think we're going to go up this year, long term, if you think in the next 12 months. However, it could be another 3 months of pain. We might have to get back in that sauna and be not able to breathe for the next 3 months. Elio Trades breaks that down perfectly. But first, I want to show you on CoinGlass the amount of volume and money coming back into these markets. You can see these are the top cryptos, the top 15, top 20 cryptos. Have a look how much the volume is up in the last 24 hours. Up 80% of volume, up 100% volume here. And you can see which ones have the most demand. Something like Doge has a lot more demand. Something like Solana has a lot of demand. Something like Sui up 105% in daily trade volume. And then if we break it down by category, you can see the biggest price changes are DeFi and AI agents and memes, which were 3 of the strongest narratives before we had to get into that sauna. You can see AI, big data, Solana ecosystem is still winning. And you can see that correlates to the 24-hour volume with 250% increase here, 160% increase in AI agents. Memes up 16%, which is a little bit lower, but you can still, they're still printing on average a 5% return on this lovely bouncy day. Go over to CoinGlass. I like using the CoinGlass Fear and Greed Index because they got green on the extreme fear, which historically has indicated the best times to buy when most people are going to be buying either now in the neutral zone or once we get back to extreme greed. But you can see we've bounced. I think I pulled this up last week for you guys, and we're at the 20. Now we're at the 46. So it's more than double. The market sentiment is just feeling a little bit lighter and people are making money again. Crypto Girl John says we're going to go to $134,000 per Bitcoin. However, Elio Trades, he's sort of saying we could go either way, which isn't that helpful. But if you know the signals for going either way, it is. And you know this date down the bottom I'm about to show you, well, then you're going to understand how to play this market for yourself. Ilio says, inside me, there are 2 wolves, the bull wolf and the bear wolf, which, I mean, they're already animals, so it's weird to merge them with a wolf, but we've got the bull wolf first. Sentiment feels like there's no way we can go lower. Twitter timeline was horrible. YouTube comments, just people really bitter and really sad. He says, sellers have already sold. If you were paper hands, you would have got out by now because you think the market is over. The market is now due for a rally relief, or a relief rally, as he writes. Tariffs, etc. are already priced in, which is one of the strongest predictors of this market, or the strongest catalyst of this market was Trump introducing more and more tariffs, halting trades, halting the stock market, halting the US economy, which apparently is in his plan, which we'll get to down here. And then regulatory clarity, plus stablecoins, plus maybe they do buy Bitcoin for the strategic Bitcoin reserve in the US, which is a lot of rumors about that. However, the bear case, or the bear wolf, is Trump wants lower and is getting his way. He wants interest rates to go down, and the best way to do that is to temporarily tank the economy, which, as you can see, we had the worst Q1 in crypto history. The market's still not sure if tariffs are real and they're not fully priced in. However, on those people are financing Chipotle burritos, which is that funny Klarna partnership where they're basically on DoorDash, you can pay for a burrito over a period of months, which is absolutely insane. Not the point of this video. However, this is the key down here. Murky waters for now. I think we see more clearly after Liberation Day. Liberation Day is April 2nd. What's happening on April 2nd? Trump is commenting about the tariffs. And basically, he's played hardball, and people are expecting him to loosen up. A lot of interviews from the White House and the government at the moment are saying that they played hardball and now they're ready to negotiate and get rid of the tariffs, which are bringing the market down. Ilya also says, we'll find out shortly what is really driving the markets. Is it Trump or liquidity? I showed you liquidity at the start, which is the M2 money supply, which is this one right here, this yellow. Is this really driving the market? I think personally, yes. But can Trump out-influence the liquidity over the short term? Well, Ilya says we're going to find out basically on April 2nd. If it's Trump, he expects the downtrend to continue because remember, Trump wants the economy to tank so interest rates go down and then you flourish and have the roaring 20s that we've all been waiting for. However, if it's not, and it is the M2 money supply, Ilya says the worst is likely behind it. And there are a lot of people who agree. David Bailey, who says 0.85 million Bitcoin is now the floor, which is 0.85. It's, people say $85,000. A lot of Bitcoiners are using the decimal of a million because anything under a million is a good buy in their opinion. Also my opinion, but obviously non-financial advice. He says, all the faders who said bull cycle over about to have their faces ripped off. The bull market is just beginning. Becca agrees. Many of you on here got to enjoy being a smart bear for the past few months. Now you get to enjoy being a poor person for eternity. The Bitcoin therapist says rumors are circulating of an undisclosed large public company adopting a Bitcoin treasury as early as the end of Q1, which is the next week. And you can see MicroStrategy were the first top 500 company in the US to do this. And now they own 500,000 Bitcoin as of today. And then there's rumors that China is going to be following and adding a strategic Bitcoin reserve for themselves, and then game theory plays out. And what happens is what Bitcoin for Freedom says, $1 million per Bitcoin is happening in 2025 because we're entering the banana zone. I personally don't think we're going that high, but I'm also not the best trader in the world. I just analyze the people who get the better results than me and try to copy trade, and that's what we do here on the channel. Jefferson says, my fellow Bitcoiners, it's happening. We are approaching suddenly. And if you don't know what that means, there's a meme out there in the tech world which basically shows you that this is all of human progress through time, slowly going up. How basically if you were born in the year 100 AD, when you were born to the point where you died, technology and your opportunity was basically the same. Now every 5 years, the entire world looks different, and we're about to cross this zone where everything exponentially absolutely goes nuts. He's talking in the case of Bitcoin, which is when basically all the supply is taken up, game theory plays out, and we go exponential to the $1 million coin. Murad says, buckle up. The best year of your life is coming. And one of the big indicators that we are having more life back in the market is what we do here on this channel is we follow the top influencers, people who can literally move markets when they make videos, when they make tweets, or when they even just partner with a deal or they're rumored to partner with a deal. We've seen market caps move hundreds of millions and billions, where you can literally make a 10, 13, 15x in the matter of a week or the matter of 7 hours sometimes, just because you know that if influencer is coming to promote it and you're front running them. And for the first time in a month, we saw some real life to this market here, where Peter from House of Crypto was talking about TARS AI. He talked about a couple other tokens that have really pulled back from their all-time highs, as a lot of things in the market has, especially down the lower end of the crypto whip. TARS AI is a AI token on the Solana blockchain. You can see he was talking about it in the video at about 0.058. By the time the video came out, it dropped even further. If we go 7 days on the TARS AI ticker here, it dropped even further down to the 50 to the 49 cent mark. But then from his video, it rallied all the way up back to the 72 cents or 7.2 cents, should I say, which is, once again, if you can time something like that, you can get a nice 60-70% bounce, which maybe it's not possible for you to time. But why I'm showing you this is because influence's influence is slowly coming back, and that only happens when market sentiment is higher. Now, where's my personal conviction? If you care about that, I'm not the best trader in the world. I don't have the best results in the world, but I like to copy trade the best, and I do a lot of research into the top traders. And to be honest, I'm getting more and more pushed into this token right here. Murad says 99.9% of people haven't heard about the SPX 6900 token yet. It will be everywhere, with the whole world wanting to join in. If you are here now, consider yourself lucky, and I have been dollar cost averaging and buying into the SBX 6900 token as basically my #1 hold all the way through this dip here. And I'm loving this bounce right here. Now, there's no guarantee that we're not going to cross back under this 25 cents and have another 3 months in the sauna, as we were saying in this video. But this token has actually become my #1 conviction, which is pretty crazy because it is already a $555 million market cap or 600 million fully diluted value. However, I think there's a lot of upside to go. I am a believer in the Murad thesis. I do think this could cross the $100 billion level, but even if he's wrong and it crosses the $10 billion level, that's a nice 20x for here. So I'm using Archie, which is our wallet, this lovely guy behind me, in order to trade all meme coins. You saw what we're bouncing. It's the AI tokens, it's Solana ecosystem, and it's meme coins. And if you want to trade using the best wallet, this is our wallet, archiebot.ai. I'll leave the download link in the description below, but you can come in and trade any token on Solana. Way better than having a Phantom wallet, way better than having a Binance, Coinbase. If you're trading on the centralized exchanges, you're not getting access to the tens of thousands of cryptos out there. You have to wait until they hit a tier 1 centralized listing, which means they're probably already in the hundreds of millions of market cap. So if you want to buy coins earlier and also enact smart trading, which is dropping in the next 2 weeks inside of Archie, come and download archiebot.ai. And so I'll leave this link in the description below, but basically if you want to come and buy something like SPX 6900, this is the dedicated link to it. So I can click on that. It's going to prompt me to open my Archiebot, which is here in Telegram. You can see this is my Archiebot here. It's going to open straight to the right contract address. This is the SPX $6,900 wormhole token, so the Solana version. And then I can simply click how much Solana I want to buy. So say I want to buy 10 Solana, and Archie's going to go out there, do all the complex behind the scenes work for us, and then simply have that buy, which will then be updated in your portfolio, all managed here on Archie. We're also about to announce a giveaway, so make sure you sign up to Archie to be able to be eligible for the meme coin giveaways. We're going to be giving away tens of thousands of dollars worth of meme coins over the next few months. So you don't want to miss out on that. Go download archiebot.ai. Happy bounce. I hope we're going to keep going up and to the right. But even if we pull back in the short term, I personally am bullish over the long term. I think 2025 is going to be a very exciting year for us. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.